everyone. It's another Wednesday with your fertility specialist. I'm your host for this session today, Ruth Ogogo, and I'm excited to be with you guys today. And I know that our viewers are excited as well to be with us. So, we're talking about fertility conversations before marriage. Like the flyer says, love is beautiful, but clarity is powerful. The right conversation builds stronger future. On this note, I once again welcome you all to this session with us at Alps Hospitals. Thank you, dear viewers, for sticking around, for connecting, for joining, for always sharing, for engaging us. We appreciate you all. Thank you, guys. So, yes, today we're talking about fertility conversations before marriage. Very, very, very important. And yes, as once we get to a conclusion on this session today, I have some questions for our viewers, and I hope to see your response on the comment section. So please, I really hope that you're able to engage us from the beginning of the session till the end. To talk about this today, we have Dr. Deborah Olubiyi. Dr. Deborah, it's good to have you.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Ms. Ruth. Always a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon, viewers. And thank you for always listening and engaging with us. We really appreciate it.
So, for someone watching for the first time, Dr. Deborah is a family physician. She's a fertility specialist and IVF specialist. She's also the head of IVF at Alps Hospitals, more like the head of IVF department at Alps Hospitals. So it means that you could talk all fertility we had today. She's just here for you. So please feel free to drop your thoughts, your comments, your questions in the comment section. And yes, I would love to see your response. If you are with me right now, let me see your like button popping up and let me see you sharing this link with someone right now so they're able to connect and get so much information that's here for you today. So, Dr. Deborah, conversation before marriage. Yes, this is a fertility conversation. I know there was a time that Dr. Ken said some ladies are saying maybe now, since they are making ladies to go and do HSG to check their tubes, maybe the men too should start doing sperm analysis before they get married so women know what to expect. That's just on
No,
a
I think
lighter
I
note.
agree. Definitely. Yes. I'm sure we'll get to that.
Yeah. So, why should couples actually? Is there a need for them to really discuss fertility before marriage? I mean, they just believe they are fertile, probably. So, is there
Yeah.
really a need to talk about it? What's
Yeah.
the why should they talk about it?
Yeah. So, couples that engage before marriage talk about a lot of things. And unfortunately, fertility conversations are not one of the
Mm,
conversations they have. And they should have this conversation because, when you're able to have honest conversations around fertility, knowing the expectation, the society places on fertility, childbearing, having
yeah.
children in our own environment, we know how important, it's important, how important this is, and we know of this leading to a lot of marriage breakups. So we know that it's very important that fertility issues are discussed
Mm,
even before marriage, because when they are discussed, like you said, it brings a lot of clarity. It removes assumptions. It helps couples to manage their expectations, and
mm,
then it helps you know the long term things you need to put in place in terms of planning, in terms of finances. When you realize that you may need to have assisted fertility treatment to be able
mm.
to achieve conception. So fertility conversations are very, very important, and they are conversations that every couple, as planning marriage, should have.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay, so with your experience over time, what are the most common fertility assumptions that couple make before marriage? Sometimes people, when you said this now, some people will say, but we've talked about it. I think maybe most of them, they have this notion that I've told him how many children I want to
That is
have.
the conversation
And
they
then
have. How
they
many
just,
children do you want to
yeah,
have?
so they just assume
Yes.
they've talked about
It doesn't
fertility.
stop
So
there. Yes.
what are the common assumptions that with your experience over time, some couple actually as things that they assume before they even get into marriage, that they just assume that, okay, these things should just be there or these things are
Yeah.
automatic.
Yeah, so a lot of assumption. One of them is that we can always have children anytime we want. Not knowing that, having children has to do with a lot of biology, a lot
Mm,
of things about timing and
yeah.
so on.
Mm,
So there are conversations you should have, knowing that your age can impact on your ability to get pregnant
mm,
spontaneously,
mm,
knowing that some underlying medical issues you have could hamper your fertility and your conception.
mm,
Knowing there are lots of issues, that people should look into. So these conversations must be had, and people just assume, yes, we will get pregnant whenever we want to get pregnant. It doesn't always
Hmm.
work that way.
Yeah,
And then
way.
people also assume we're young, we can always get pregnant. Yes. And
Mm.
then another assumption is that, if pregnancy is not happening, it's a woman's problem. But
Mm.
we've seen that, a man and woman contribute equally to the incidence or the what causes infertility. So it's not just a woman's problem. We live
Mm.
in a patriarchal society where, men are absorbed of things to do with problems with fertility, conception. A woman is
Yeah.
usually blamed, but a lot of the issues are also caused by men. So those
Mm.
are some of the common assumptions. We shouldn't make assumptions. That's why these conversations are very important, so that you address the issues head on, even prior to marriage. So you manage your expectations. You know that if you're a woman that is in her 30s getting
Yeah.
married, you know that
Mm.
your biological clock is ticking. You know that your fertility is reducing. So you know that you should have conversations about when are we having children. It should be in something
Yeah.
you talk about waiting for years. You know that you
Mm.
need to have your kids early if you're planning to have children. And if you're not ready, then you need to talk about fertility preservation, things you can do
Mm.
like oocyte freezing, sperm freezing, and so on.
Yeah.
Yes, so that you can delay having children to when you are ready. And despite the fact that biology is not favoring you, this
Yeah.
assisted, since you have banked your eggs, banked your sperm, you
Mm.
can use that at that time. So these conversations cannot be overemphasized. A lot
Emphasize.
of people shy away from them because maybe it means that you are putting maybe pressure on the other partner,
No.
or some of the conversations are not totally comfortable to have.
Mm.
But they will save you from a lot of marital stress, strain, and headaches in future. A relationship where you can have these honest conversations about your fertility, those
Yeah.
unions tend to last longer because you manage your expectations properly. Everybody knows what they're getting into. It doesn't seem as if somebody is hiding something.
Mm.
Yes, because for a woman, if you've had some issues, with maybe your menstrual cycle, maybe you're not even
Cycle.
seeing your period,
Period.
then you know
Mm.
that definitely there's something hampering your fertility in that respect. If you've been diagnosed with some medical conditions, maybe you've diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, you know that that can impact on your fertility. So
Yeah.
you allowing your partner to know these are the issues I have. Oh, these are the options we have.
Yes.
Everybody is clear about what might need to
Exactly.
be
So they
done, and
don't
then you
just keep
can plan.
wasting time.
Exactly, and then you can
Mm.
plan accordingly, because we know that some of these treatment will require financial resources, so you
Mm.
can plan. And then you also know, you also know your values, your deal breakers from the beginning. You're
Mm.
able to align your goals, you're able to align your expectations together as a couple. So these conversations are really very important.
Well, viewers, hope we are noting this. So when you already as a lady, you already some things that could hamper your fertility. You don't just keep quiet. So
Exactly.
it would also point me to wanting to know: are there some investigations that you feel people that are engaged to should actually carry out in respect to preparing for in respect to their fertility? Maybe yes, in view of conception in marriage and all
Yes,
of that.
definitely. Part of premarital counseling should involve these fertility investigations. Yes, there's some simple, non-invasive
Mm.
investigations that can be done. For a man, like you mentioned, seminal fluid analysis should be done,
Mm.
because the fact that a man can perform sexually doesn't mean that the sperms are healthy. It doesn't even mean that that man has
Yeah.
sperms.
Hmm.
Yes, we've seen a lot of cases, healthy looking men, you analyze the sperm and there are no sperm cells,
Hmm.
or the sperm cells are not moving as they should. There are motility issues, there are morphology issues with the sperms.
Yeah.
So, sperm, seminal fluid analysis is a basic thing that should be done by every couple preparing for marriage. It's
Marriage.
non-invasive, it doesn't really
Yes.
cost much to do that. And for a woman, having a pelvic scan done, so
Hmm.
that your uterus is looked at, your ovaries is looked at, very important. And then basic hormonals can be done just
Oh,
to evaluate your
okay.
basic fertility. We won't say you should go ahead to do some things that are more invasive like
Invasive.
HSG and so
Hmm.
on.
That's
No,
really.
but I think that baseline, and then just screening for other health issues, doing a serological screening, checking your genotype. We talked
Hmm.
about how genotype, is very important and all that.
Important.
Yeah, so those basic evaluations should be done,
Hmm.
because it will now help the couples to make informed decisions. You do those basic evaluation, you now realize, oh, this man has low sperm count. Then you can start making informed decisions. What are our
Decision.
options? If pregnancy does not happen spontaneously, what can we
Hmm.
do? What would this entail? So you better plan, and that removes the stress I know, and it then doesn't lead to conflicts later on because it's something that you're both aware of.
Aware of.
Yes, it doesn't bring about resentment. One person feeling I was blinded in this process, I was
Yeah.
coerced, or he kept me in the dark. Everybody's
And
issues
all of
are
that.
plain. And then
Yes.
that if it's something you can go on with, it's something you can afford to, something you can deal with. And then you plan as a couple, as you now present a united front, to face whatever the issues are.
So yeah, so while you were talking about the sperm analysis for the man, I actually just thought I know that a lot of men, when a man knows that they have problem with fertility, they are not quick to open up. Sometimes women are the
Yes.
ones that seem to easily open
Open
up
up.
to men,
That's true.
but on the contrary, men find it difficult. It feels like the ego in them, or
Yeah,
that
because
they.
for a man, somehow, a man's fertility is linked to his masculinity, and it should not be so. The fact that you
Exactly.
have issues with fertility doesn't mean you are less of a man. But
True.
somehow they link it, like you said, the ego and
Yes.
all that. Women are more receptive, are more open about this issue, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be so, and that's why you see a man for years. A man will refuse to come for
Yes,
testing, saying, "I'm
exactly.
fine, I'm fine, I'm fine." The
Mm,
women are the one they push forward to go to the hospital to be
yes.
evaluated, but it shouldn't be so.
So, God, I just want to talk to the men a bit, because if you know that you're a man, you've done your analysis, and it's already showing that there's a problem with the sperm. Yes, I know that maybe you've not tried, but now you are married. Let's even assume you're planning to get married, and you don't even want to open up to your spouse. You should. I don't think it's nice for you as a man to keep trying for more than 6 months to 1 year,
Especially
and
when,
nothing is happening, and
yeah,
then
and
you
then you
still
still
sit
keep
back and
quiet.
relax,
Yeah.
and you know that you might just be the issue here.
Yes.
Maybe the woman has checked herself and she has opened up to you, everything is fine. Then you know that you've done yours, and oh yeah, you're claiming that everything is fine. Let's just see. It's possible.
No,
Miracles
no, it's really
still happen.
painful.
So
Yeah,
you
it's
you,
really
you don't
painful.
just stay back and then allow this woman's fertility wane down, and
Knowing
then
that her
before.
yes, the woman has a time frame when she's fertile, which from about 35 years of age. This fertility, a woman's fertility is already waning.
Yeah.
But that's a man has a more leverage with regards to fertility. A man in his 50s could still impregnate a woman and so on, but it doesn't work
Yes.
like that for a woman. So for a man to
Yes.
know that you have an issue and then you keep quiet. We see couples, like for example this week alone, I saw a couple. They've been married for 26 years and this man has a zoospermia.
Oh my
So you can
goodness.
imagine
Oh.
how young, because this woman is in her late 40s
Oh
now.
no.
She married at about 20, very early
Hmm.
20s,
Hmm.
and this was the issue that kept them for years.
Hmm.
Something that could have been addressed much earlier, and then
Yes. Oh my
unfortunately,
goodness.
the woman doesn't have any eggs any longer.
Anymore, because
So you can imagine
yes.
the problem has been
Then you
compounded.
deprive
But these
her.
men will keep quiet. A lot of them will keep
Keep
quiet.
quiet.
Yes, I
Exactly.
know the society will just be looking at the woman. Nobody looks
True.
at the man.
Exactly.
That's
Yes.
just the
And the woman
painful
will open
aspect.
up to say, "My husband is," because yes, to a very large extent, women would want to shield their partner.
Definitely,
So she
yes.
wouldn't want to open up. This is what the thing is, and then fingers keep pointing at
Yeah.
her. Whereas she knows this is it, and maybe she's even there begging the man, and the man is still being
Egoistic
egoistic
about
and
it.
saying
Yeah, I
and
don't have
all
any
that.
issue. Yes.
Yes. So men, please, let's keep this open. I know that in our world and all, it's not easy when you have these issues, but nobody really prays for these things. But when you find yourself in this kind of situation, I think that you shouldn't be too quiet about it. You have your partner, you people can discuss. And then maybe what's your counsel to people that still insist they are ASAS couple, like okay, now they're already engaged, they know they are both ASAS. What's your counsel to them? What are some of the things that they should talk really about, as to what their plans are with respect to fertility, conception, when they eventually get married? What are some of the things that they should really sit and
Yeah.
talk about and address?
Yeah. So ASAS, we said the best option, the best counsel will be for that relationship not to continue. But if you are saying you're still going ahead,
Hmm.
yes, you can still go ahead, but you know that you must be open to take up a lot of options that are there. You
Hmm.
must be open to having assisted, fertility, either having an IVF, and then when you have an IVF, you don't need to do genetic testing of the
Hmm.
embryos. That's PGT. So you know that you must have conversations about the resources for it.
Hmm.
IVF, apart from the resources, IVF involves a lot of emotional resilience. You must know that you have the
True.
emotional capability to go through it, because
Honestly.
IVF is not 100% guaranteed. We have success rates. Nothing It's not 100% guaranteed. So IVF could still fail. Yes,
Fail.
IVF could be your option, but you must be open. You look at it thoroughly. You look at
I'm
it
sure
openly,
that this
and
is
then you
what
know
you want
that
to
exactly
get
that this is
into.
what you are. What you're ready to go through. You're
Yes.
ready for this journey. This is what your journey will entail, and you're ready for whatever comes with the journey. So
Mm.
it's not just the money, having the money to go through this treatment. The emotional capability to go through this treatment are also there. And
Mm.
then you're open to you having, if you don't want to do PGT, pre-implantation genetic testing, then you're open to having one donor garment being used.
Mm.
Either the sperm is a donor gamete, or the egg is a donor gamete. Both of you can't use your gametes because the chances of having a child with sickle cell disease is higher. So those are the issues they will have to look at. They could also look at adoption.
Mm.
If so those are the questions,
That they need to really
conversations
talk
they need to
about.
have. Yes, conversation they
Mm.
need to have. So this is how our journey is going to be with regards to conception and
Yes.
fertility. We would have to have help, IVF, read more about what IVF entails, the injections, the monitoring scans you need to do, all the processes, egg retrieval and so on, so that you know that it's something you can deal with, then you can go into that relationship. So
Mm.
that those are the options they have that they can take if they say they must go into
So
continue the
you
relationship.
know what? In the course of this conversation, at some point, you talked about some some couple that will say one of the partners them that's okay,
Exactly.
they're
Yeah,
AS.
yeah,
Are there
yes.
possible ways that we could actually curb this? Because I just think sometimes I know that there are some, if for people that do their weddings in church, there are some churches that they request for this. So I
Yes.
find it hard to say that okay, when the result is done and a couple weds in church, is it possible for the church to still hold a particular
No,
genotype?
I don't
Because
think I don't
I
think it's
just
a church. Sometimes some of these couples know, so they induce the people in the labs
oh
to give out a wrong result. Please just put
hmm
there that I'm AA genotype.
hmm
For those that do intentionally, but we know there are
hmm
some people that there's some errors in the lab results. Some lab make We've seen people that honestly did their genotypes and they were told that both of them were maybe AAAA, or one
yes
partner niche was AS and the other was AA, only for them to now have a child with sickle cell disease, only to
hmm
repeat their genotype testing and they see that they are both AS. So lab
yes
errors can come in, but some people willfully induce people in the lab them erroneous results.
results.
Yes, some people, we've had cases like that. The person knew they were AS and knew their partner was AS, but because the person wanted to marry this person,
Oh
they
goodness.
had a lab or someone was induced a wrong result for them.
It's
Yeah, because
it's
it's the result they present to the churches or whichever religious organization
so
is marrying them. Unless
mm,
maybe some have hospitals they use
use
and they
I,
tell
I
them
I
to go
honestly
there.
think that various wedding centers, we like if it's the church or the mosque, I honestly think that the couple shouldn't be the ones to bring their out. I think that maybe, just maybe, because I've seen some organizations, some
Okay,
churches or some worship centers where they are the ones that really take them to where they will do
do the
the
results.
investigations.
Okay,
So even the results are not even handed over to the couple. The
okay,
committee themselves, they are the ones that get to have this result, and then
okay.
they now bring it before you and say, okay, what the result is. This is what the result is. So by so doing, it's something I'm
Yeah,
sure maybe if there are some issues, they want to talk to one of the partner. If he feels like he doesn't want
the other
the
partner
other
to know.
partner to
But
know,
you know,
but
that based on this result, you can't say they can't get married. It has to be their decision. You
yes, but at
understand? Yeah,
least
but at
they
least everybody is
is
know
aware.
they are able
Yes,
to make informed
exactly.
choices and make an informed decision. Okay, this is what we have. Are we going ahead? These are the issues that we might be presented with if we go ahead. Yes, so it's not as if the churches have to say they can't marry them, but
Yes,
they are
yes.
adults. They should make informed decisions.
Decisions.
Yes.
So for people what where this is just a bit for someone, once you know you are AS, I think that whoever it is that you eventually settle for, you just have to be doubly sure
Yeah, I think
to
I
avoid
yes,
this
and I
whole blame
recommend
game
that
of
people should do it in more than one lab.
money. So to
Have it
avoid this
tested more
blame
than one
game of
hospital.
this person
Yes,
deceived me,
do your
or
genotype in more
there
than
was
one
error, even
place.
with your partners, I really don't know. Yes, I know that sometimes partner will say I've done and it's this, but
This, yes,
I just still think that you should make some more effort just to be doubly sure, so
yeah,
you don't just get into that mess. And because we've seen some people that they'll say
yeah.
maybe he deceived me, some of them will know they are this, like Dr. Debbie has mentioned, that they are trying to insist on marrying the person, whereas the other person that knows she's AS, I'm sure in her mind she'll be like, if it's not AA, I'm not
You're not
getting.
getting
But
married.
then the other
Yes,
one is looking at the fact that I love this person, I don't
you
want to
want
miss her,
to.
and then you are
Yeah,
trying to play this person, and then later on you people will now be the And most of the time, women will be the ones to suffer because you are the one that
Yeah,
will
the
stay with
child
the
that is sick,
children and all
exactly.
of that. So I know
Mm.
some to some extent, sometimes women want to consider that, but sometimes men just want to, don't worry, we'll sort it out. There must be a way. There
Who's
must be a way.
away?
And then the woman would,
Yeah,
would,
when the
would
reality
definitely,
strikes,
yes,
yeah.
exactly. So I think it's something that we should really
Yeah, so
be.
with this genotype mismatch, a way around is to do your genotype in a reputable facility, and then always check by repeating elsewhere. Don't just
Hmm.
depend on one
One
result. Yeah,
result,
especially when you know that
exactly.
you are AS.
Yes.
When one partner is AS and they're giving another result that the other partner is AA,
Hmm.
still do the
So
test
exactly,
somewhere
just
else.
to be sure.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Okay, so what's your, there are some people that even in the before they maybe before marriage, some of them already saying that it's skipping for ladies, or
Mhm.
some of them might have even seen or done tests and they are telling them fibroid you need to have.
Yeah.
So what's your counsel to some of these people that have encountered this and they're praying for maybe they're praying for marriage?
Marriage.
Yeah, or for, yes, we've talked about the men to some extent,
Yeah.
what their possibilities are, like okay, what their issues could be and
Yeah.
how to address it. So what's your counsel to the ladies? Because a lady might just want to be quiet and not talk
Definitely.
about it. I'm like,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
which eye will this man used to look at
I
me and
mean,
all
and
those
yeah,
things.
I
So
think it's good to be open and honest about it, because this same, like you said marriage, love is blind, marriage opens
yes,
it.
opens your eye,
So if you
exactly.
don't discuss these things with your partner, you just open rooms for for resentment and marital conflicts and so on to just
Hmm.
come into the relationship. It's better you're open. If this person truly loves you,
Loves
they'll be ready to go through whatever it is with
you.
you.
Hmm.
So it's good to be open. You notice as a lady, you're not seeing your period every month. You know that once you've started menstruating, it's only the initial few months when a girl starts menstruating that the period might not be regular. After that, periods should be every month. You should be
Regular,
seeing your
yes.
period every month. And then if you're not having that, you know that definitely there's something wrong. So as a lady, even on your own, you could go and self-checked to know what exactly the issues are, and then so that you know what are the solutions for the issue, so that when you are discussing
Yes.
with your partner, oh, I've been diagnosed with this, these are what I've been told, you know I think it shows that the person is honest, and it
Yes.
will that would even make that man love you more, that oh, this woman of
She
her own
even opened
volition
up.
volunteered this information to me,
Yeah.
yes. And if that person is really your partner, or your husband, or your wife, your husband, the person will still be open to go with you. And but if the person says, okay, it's a deal breaker for me, then
I
it's
can't handle
better.
it,
Yes, it's
exactly.
better. Somebody else will
So a
come
woman will
along.
say, I don't want to lose
Yes,
him. Well,
yes.
for
But you
some
still lose
ladies,
him at the end if these
exactly, for
issues
some ladies, they might
come.
have weighed their partner, and then if they feel like okay, telling him, because you might have there, I'm sure with your experience, there are some people that will tell you, I cannot tell my husband this.
Definitely,
I
we see a
cannot,
lot
I
of
cannot tell my partner this
hide
and
and
all.
seek in the
Yes,
consulting
like
room.
I.
It just reminds me of a story. This was a lady that got married, and I think they've been married for like, I think 6 7 years now, and no issue. She doesn't even menstruate.
Hmm.
But she told her husband that she used to menstruate.
Wow.
Yes, that it's after their marriage now that she didn't see her
Period.
period
Oh my
again. And this,
goodness.
I don't just wonder, in this 21st century, how someone
Wow.
can be so, how
Like
would I?
he ignores, like, or he's not sensitive to
You
what's
know, I don't
happening
know whether he
around.
doesn't understand the implication of that, because now waited for like 4 5 years before you
Hmm.
now presented to know why she's not getting pregnant. I don't
Pregnancy. Hmm.
understand.
Wow.
Only for us to check. It's like this one has a congenital anomaly.
Oh.
No, you practically no uterus. So she has not never really been menstruating. So that was
Oh
a
my
lie. That one that she
goodness.
told the husband that she used to menstruate is
Hmm.
after they got married, that she stopped seeing her
Yeah.
period.
Wow.
And then unfortunately, when I say unfortunately or fortunately, we did the man's seminal fluid analysis. No sperm, azoospermia.
Ooh.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
So you
This
can
is
see
double
how
problem.
I'm telling you, I
When
can see
when
how
two people.
complicated the issues are.
Yes,
The
exactly.
issues were really complicated
Wow.
because
Wow.
she
Hmm.
practically doesn't have a uterus to
Wow.
carry a pregnancy.
Oh my
So,
goodness. This is
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
really a sad, and that's why sometimes that's why we're talking about these things that needs to be checked before
Yes,
it's
marriage.
good
That's
that
why I
you
said a
know.
basic pelvic scan. Just
Hmm,
to
we'll
check that the
show.
uterus is there, the ovaries are there, nothing invasive, just everybody should want to check themselves.
Yes.
Everybody should want to check themselves.
As
Yes.
a lady, yes, some of you, if you don't want to, when you know something can be addressed, then you address it
Exactly.
in,
Even
in your
before, yes,
before settling. Then if you feel you
yes,
don't want to talk about this, then address
address
it and
it.
let there be solution. And then when you see there's no solution, then you probably might have to talk about it so people can find the way out on how
Yes.
to
How
sort
you
things
navigate,
to
yes.
sort things out before they really get
Yeah,
out of
because
hand.
for some people, that's why those conversations are important. Okay, what if something we didn't expect happen? What if we have challenges? We're having children. Those are conversations you should have. It's
Have
not all those talking about nothingness.
yes,
What if we have problems having children? What
yeah.
do we do? Are we open to having assisted fertility? Are we open to having donor gametes? Are we open to having this? Just conversations so that where you each stand on these issues, and then
Hmm.
whether it's something that you can navigate together, or this is going to be a deal breaker for both of you.
Hmm.
I think it helps. It
It
helps.
really does. So, viewers, you see that this is just a lot that really cannot be overemphasized. So, Dr. Debo, as we wrap up on this conversation, because there's just a lot about this fertility conversation that people cannot just get over with and we cannot
Yeah.
get done with, that needs to constantly be talked about. Not just the number of children you want,
No, it's
and
not the number of
it's not
children.
just about that.
I think that's
It's
the
not
most. That's the
common
question people.
question.
Yeah, people ask, how many children do
One
you want? How many
question,
children do
or
you want?
how soon do you want to get pregnant? And then once they talk about, I don't want,
Yes,
I want to rest for a bit.
imagine someone that is you're already like 37, 38, getting married, talk about resting a bit. Should have your
so
children as soon
so
as
these are
possible.
exactly, so these are some of the conversations that you really should talk about, and that's
Yes.
why viewers and the general population should be enlightened. It's just like
Yes.
Dr. Levy just pointed out now that you cannot be 37, 38, and you're saying you want to stay for 1 year
Yeah,
first
two
before you,
years.
when you know your fertility. You're already you're almost losing it, and then you just want to stay and allow time to keep winding. So what's your final consent? Those people that feel love conquers all, and then they just want to avoid this conversation. When we get the normal talk is when we
You
get to
get
that
that
bridge
bridge,
we'll
you will cross
cross.
it. Well,
What's your counsel
I,
to
I,
them?
I
And
I don't think that's a good perspective or way to go about it. I think it's better to have these conversations, because when you have this conversation, it brings about clarity. It removes assumptions. You are able to know each other's expectations, as regard fertility, and then you're able to deal with issues early before they bring about they cause marital conflict, they bring about
all
issues in
that,
your marriage,
yeah.
dissatisfaction, resentment, and so on. So I think it's important. We shouldn't go into relationship, into marriage is supposed to be lifelong. We shouldn't go into marriage based on assumption. Let's be clear about
Yeah.
issues
Hmm.
so that you can make informed choices. I think that shows that you are responsible, human beings. When you are courting, you have conversation about a lot of issues. These fertility issues should be part of the
Addressed.
conversations
Hmm.
too.
So don't shy away from it. It
Yes.
doesn't mean you are, doesn't it's not mundane as some
Yeah,
people
or some
make
people
it make it sound,
or some
or
people feel that maybe it means that you are desperate or
desperate.
you are putting undue pressure. No, no, I don't
It's
think so.
somebody you intend
Yeah,
to settle down with.
with
So there's
yes,
nothing wrong. Nothing says it's wrong to talk about it. It's good to
yes,
talk about everything talkable, because when you are
yeah. That's
inside,
the time to talk about
yes,
everything
talk about
talkable.
everything talkable. Address whatever needs to be addressed. So as we wrap up this, I want to ask our viewers these questions, and I hope that you give yourself the sincere answer. And if your answer is really sincere, if you need to address something, please do that. If you're engaged right now and haven't discussed genotype, or you've not discussed anything about fertility, what is stopping you? You should answer that question. What exactly is stopping you, or what's preventing you from talking about it, or what are you waiting for? Would you marry someone if you knew conception might require assisted reproduction? That's a
Mm,
very big question,
yeah,
because a lot of people shy from assisted reproduction. That's why a lot of people come for it at a very
late.
late age. Exactly.
Yes.
So if you know right from now that you're talking with someone, or now you're talking about fertility, and you know the only way out for that person to conceive, or for you both to have children, would be by assisted reproduction technology, would you be able to embrace that? Would you be happy to embrace that? I hope you give yourself a honest answer. And just in case your answer is no, then it means you need to rebirth your mind. You
Yeah.
need to rebirth your mind. You need to enlighten yourself. So that's a question for you, Verse. And the last question: do you think that love alone is enough? when fertility challenges are involved.
When your in-laws are
Yeah.
bearing down on you,
So you see, if you feel that's enough, then it's okay. You could get into marriage. But if you feel love is not enough, then you should start talking about it from now before you get into marriage. So you're sure because it's going to be multiple once you get into marriage. Like they say, love is blind, but marriage
you
will
open it.
open it. So I really do hope that you viewers and everyone that would get to watch this video, I hope that you give yourself a very honest answer and address whatever needs to be addressed. It's been good having you, Dr. Debbie.
Thank you
I'm
very
sure our
much.
viewers had a good time. Thank you, dear viewers, for engaging us. We also had a very wonderful time with you. We look forward to seeing more of you. And for someone that might just be hoping for a consultation, yes, you could book an online consultation. The number would be displayed on the screen so you could communicate with, or you could send a private message on any of our DMs and we'll definitely respond. But for now, until we come your way next time, we hope that you have a good evening. Bye.